This is the Jeep Compass, the awkward middle child of the Jeep range in my opinion, and it's been on sale for ages. And for the life of me, I can't work out why. So I booked one in on test in its run-out Northstar edition to find out what all the fuss was about. Okay, so I thought it'd only be fair to do a quick walk around before we do any more driving. So if I flip this camera round, here we have the Compass Northstar edition. Let's start by talking about styling. I think this is showing the signs of its age. It looks a lot like the previous generation Grand Cherokee, sort of like a shrunk down version of that. So obviously you've got the classic Jeep grille at the front, but then these lights and this kind of overall body shape even is quite reminiscent of that older Grand Cherokee. I don't think it's bad looking though, overall. I think it still looks quite chunky and purposeful, although I'd prefer it if it was just a little bit more hard-edged, like the Renegade. And here is the crux of the issue for me. This is a compact B-segment crossover. The Jeep Renegade is a compact B-segment crossover. This has a slightly larger boot, but fundamentally, they're pretty much the same size. They're also only about £2,000 different in price, this being the more expensive one. But I think there's more character and charm in the design of the Renegade. Obviously, you get a couple of bits for the Northstar trim, so we've got these wheels here, and we've also obviously got some fancy badging. Let's have a look, though, at that boot and see if I can really tell the difference. Let's come around the back. Again, it's that previous generation Jeep styling, really. They've sort of moved on from this. I mean, there is a family resemblance still, but manual tailgate, open it up, 438 litres, which is sort of family hatchback sized. Because this one is not a 4xe, this is just an e-hybrid with front wheel drive. I do have a lot of under 4 boot space, though that would be the same if for whatever reason you decided to buy a front wheel drive Renegade. I would say don't buy a front wheel drive either one of these. I'll get more onto that on the drive of this. But why are you buying a Jeep if you want a front wheel drive car is sort of my opinion. Let's take a quick look in the rear seats if I just shut this down. This is the other place it suffers, I feel. So the seats themselves are actually really nice. They're very comfortable. As you can see, that middle one is actually slightly indented, which means it's actually quite good to sit in for a small car. You also still have a decent amount of legroom, even behind me, and I do like to sit really far back. And look, I've got a sunroof that comes all the way into the back as well, which is lovely. I've got all the usual things as well, kind of USB ports down there, seat back pockets, door pockets. This folds down, nice big cup holders, Isofix. But what I don't have loads of is headroom. And again, in the Renegade, there's acres. You may be starting to see the theme of this video now, but sort of fundamentally, I don't quite understand why both those cars exist at the same time. And because the Renegade is cheaper and better styled, in my opinion, I don't understand why so many people seem to continue buying these. Maybe it's got something to do with the drive, though. So let's hop back into the front seat. I'll talk you through the driving position and the interior there, and then also how it drives. Let's go. Okay, so quick roundup on the interior. The materials in here are pretty nice, actually. I've got soft touch plastic on the top of the door, but leatherette on the armrest, on the steering wheel. I've got these lovely cloth and leather seats on this Northstar edition. I like the little air vent controls. I like the silver flash in the interior, but I do have to say, some of it feels a little bit cheaper than it maybe should. And this doesn't bother me, but it definitely does feel dated in here. I've got proper climate controls, which I really like. This screen on a plinth, though, is a little bit outdated now, but I like the fact it's got proper buttons underneath it. None of them are particularly useful shortcut buttons on this specific car, but it's nice to see some real buttons. I've got heated seats and a heated steering wheel, but because this is a Jeep, they haven't bothered to put the heated steering wheel control on the correct side of the infotainment screen. So I have to press the passenger side when it works. This is why I hate touchscreen controls. And then it's over there. If I want to adjust my temperature or seat, though, it's on this side. Interesting choice. Can't have been that expensive to change considering it's in software. The infotainment screen itself is fine. It's fairly responsive. There's not a huge amount of functionality in it. I don't have anything clever going on here particularly, because this is the front-wheel drive one. I don't have any off-road modes, obviously, but I don't seem to even have any drive modes, which is almost unheard of these days. Automatic gear stick, automatic shift control, or drive selector down here in the centre with a hold, and then some more blank buttons. I'm guessing that some of these would be related to off-road modes in the four-wheel drive version. And then the seating position is the one thing I do have a problem with. So I'm all the way down right now, and again, I don't have a huge amount of headroom. So that does seem to be at a premium in this vehicle. Also, I can't really adjust the steering wheel for reach as much as I want to. It only comes out to here. Like, rake is fine, but I just want that to be a bit closer to me. It may look like I'm sitting a really long way from the steering wheel, but that's because my legs are in the right place for the pedals, and that's just a bit too far. I'd want it to be about there, really. And obviously I don't really want to sit up anymore because of the headroom. Let's, though, take it on a drive. I am conscious of the fact I've been quite down on this car, and I fear that driving it isn't necessarily going to sort that out. Now, this is an interesting time to do a review of the Jeep Compass because they've already announced and shown the new model that's coming, which is sort of why I feel happy being like this, because there is a space. There are people for which this car would be a reasonable choice. I think the real crux of my issue is, if this car's a good choice for you, I'm not sure when the Jeep Renegade would be a bad choice for you, because it looks nicer. It seems to have more space for the people sitting inside it. Certainly got a nice seating position. The boot is pretty much the same size. I think if you really need more space than the Renegade can offer, you probably want to go up to something like a Discovery Sport. So this is just sort of hanging about without much purpose. But it felt unfair to kind of state my opinion on that so forcefully, when I'm sure there's lots of people out there who have one of these and really like them. And maybe they don't like the Renegade. Maybe they feel it's a poser's car. I don't know. The new one, though, looks very promising. It's also going to be all electric. I'm not sure if there's going to be a hybrid or a petrol version available. I think there will be, but if there is, I'm not sure if it will be all-wheel drive, but we will be getting an all-wheel drive electric one, which I'm very excited for, because electric motors should be the perfect way of powering an off-road vehicle. You don't have to worry about wading depth. You can have consistent torque delivery. So I'm very excited for the new Compass. And, you know, this isn't a bad car. I just don't understand why you'd spend £2,000 more to have something that, in my mind, is less interesting. The drive of this one specifically, as I've mentioned, it's the front-wheel drive model, the e-hybrid. It's got a mild 48-volt hybrid system, 1.5 litre engine, kicking out about 130 PS, 240 newton meters of torque. 0 to 62 takes 10 seconds. So it's all the figures are fine. What I will say, this is a DCT gearbox apparently. Whew. They seem to have, even though it's not the same powertrain that's in the smaller Stellantis vehicles, they seem to have put the same DCT in it, or at least decided to make it feel the same. So it's very sluggish. My real problem is from stopped. It seems to be very difficult to get this car moving. There's a big lull before you get any meaningful power from the engine, and it feels like if you're trying to get through a gap in traffic, you're doing it by creeping out into the gap and then flooring it. I feel like the way this car reacts to input makes me look like an indecisive driver to everybody else on the road, which isn't ideal. The 4xe hybrid system, not available on the Northstar trim in this, weirdly, even though for the Renegade it's only available with the 4xe. I believe the Northstar on this is only available with this powertrain. But the 4xe system, I vastly prefer to this. You've got more kick from low down because it's got that 60 horsepower rear motor. And then you've also got more top end power because it's got turbocharged engine with just a bit more grunt in it. 180 PS, I think it is. So I think if I was looking at a Compass, I'd be most interested in a 4xe. Also, if I was looking at a Compass, this is a genuinely impressive off-road vehicle in the right trim level. If you get a Trailhawk, it is trail rated. It has done the Rubicon Trail in America, and it does get more ground clearance and better off-road tyres and that sort of thing. I also would be interested to see how that one rides. This one is a little bit jolty. I can feel a lot of the broken undulations through the body. It's got a decent amount of sidewall on the tyre though, so I don't know if the weight makes a difference or what, but the Renegade rides really well in my opinion. And nice and softly and supplely, especially for city driving, which is the other place you're very likely to be using a small crossover. So I would like to know exactly how the more off-roady variants of this handle, and if they're a bit more on that side as well. Basically what I'm getting at is oh gosh, I'm just going to have to apologise now to Jeep. I'm really sorry. I do like your cars generally. I'm a really big fan of the brand, which I tend to always caveat when I'm doing Jeep reviews. But with this one, I'm just not seeing it. It's not doing it for me, and especially with this powertrain, it's difficult to see the angle. Generally, with any new car, there's a reason to buy it. And on Buckle Up, we try to line those things up. We try to align the people who might want a car with that car, rather than telling you what my favourite is. I do obviously dollop that in as well, but we try and go, oh, well, this car does this really well. And I can't find a thing. It's not a bad car. There's plenty of grip. It's fairly quiet in here, although the engine can sound quite laboured under acceleration. Other than the low-speed jolting, the ride is fairly composed. And I do have, cruise control and all that stuff. The brakes actually work quite well. If I wanted a Jeep of this size, I would buy the Renegade. It is worth mentioning that if you love the aesthetics of the Northstar trim for whatever reason, and you must have a car with that on, because the Renegade's locked into 4xe, but this is locked into e-hybrid, this is actually significantly cheaper than that car. So I think that one was £41,000. This one's about 36 if you get one of the free colours on it. I think this one will be about 37. You do need to put some quite expensive options on it though. For example, if you want Smart Cruise, I think that's like £1,200, which is quite steep on a car that's already over 35 grand, I think. Though actually, speaking of price, I will tell you the one upside of this car is the market does seem to agree with me that, number one, it's not particularly desirable, and number two, it's quite long in the tooth. So while I've been doing a bit of research for the video, every single one of these specific cars with this trim that I found was about £10,000 off for pre-reg cars, available effectively brand new off the lot. They were all about £27,000. Now, there are still, if you don't need off-road ability, which you clearly don't if you buy one of these because it's front-wheel drive only, there are still a number of rivals available for less money that I think do the on-road normal family crossover bit better. But if you want Jeep aesthetics, it's a bit of a bargain to get 10 grand off a car. It means when it comes time to sell it, you probably take less of a hit because a lot of that depreciation's come out before the first owners bought the car. And with that last little speckle of hope, let's try and sum up the Compass and my feelings about it. I think if you're thinking about buying this car, you should check out my review of the Jeep Renegade, but also just the Jeep Renegade. I suspect it will tick all of your boxes. Or hold on and wait to see what the new Compass is like, because It's going to be more differentiated by the looks of things from the other cars in the Jeep lineup, and I really like the way it looks at the moment. The shots we're getting look very, very interesting. So those are my recommendations. If you really love this car or you just bought one, I'm terribly sorry, but I have to speak my truth. So there you go. Jeep Compass, thoughts by Jeep Renegade. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe. If you go down into the description, find all the links to all our social medias. You'll also find 2 ways you can support the channel. So we have channel memberships and we have merchandise, links in the description. Please tell me what you think would be a better alternative to this car, both from a family crossover perspective, but also a small off-roader perspective. And then, you know, go and do all the things I just said. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.